What's going on, folks? We are here. We are here live. It's your boy here, 86 Boxing, along with my man holding it down on the other side. What it is?
Yeah. It's Poppy Chew Yayo. Heavy on the Poppy, light on the Yayo. What's cracking?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So we appreciate everyone waiting with us. We had to work out a few technical things, but we're in the mix, of course. In the mix, and it's a big weekend, or at least this past weekend was a big weekend as it relates to boxing. Some could say for the wrong reasons, but nonetheless, it was a big weekend, and we had, of course, a number a number of marquee fights even the days prior. So we'll try to tap into some of those. But I mean, we have to start, folks. We have to start at the top diggity dissolve. And of course, that is Jake Paul taking on former unified, I believe, world heavyweight champion. I think he was unified. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was unified world heavyweight champion. Anthony Joshua, AJ, you know I'm holding it down of British fame, all of that stuff. And Jake Paul, of course, his fights at heavyweight consisted of Mike Tyson, and maybe he fought someone else at heavyweight. I can't recall for sure. So, no doubt, a step up in class here. And I'd imagine one of the big things coming into the fight was, is this fight legitimate, folks? Is this a legitimate fight? So, of course, Poppy and I, we're going to dive into it. We're going to see where our opinions lie. We haven't discussed it here beforehand. So, hey, it's going to be raw. It's going to be real. So, but before that, need everyone to hit that like button. Be sure, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe because we appreciate you 1,000% there. And shout out to the Greek in here, Joshua, the Greek holding it down. Appreciate you there, Joshua. See you in the mix here, buddy. Shout out to my mom in the mix here as well. Came through, show some love there. Greetings, son, proud son, mom. Watch it. All right, so good. Your pops might roll through her, Ernest, right?
I didn't send Pops the link, but I probably should have.
Yeah.
I apologize now for anything I might say. Somebody got to say it. You understand what I mean? God, you know what I mean? Somebody got to say it.
Hey, it's gotta be said. We gotta talk about it. We gotta keep it real. A heavy debate, folks. We're here once again. So, hey, let's start there. So we had Jake Paul headlining another fight in terms of him walking out first, him being the name that was listed first in the marquee, and a lot of eyes on him and what he would be able to do in there against one of the biggest stars in boxing, of course, in Anthony Joshua, a heavyweight champion, at least former heavyweight champion, which is something that can't be taken lightly there, Ernest. And I will say that it was a very interesting matchup, certainly, even leading into it. And maybe we can start there. What were your general thoughts just kind of leading into the matchup? We know what's happened now, and we're going to dive into that. But just leading into it, what were your thoughts and what were your expectations?
Man, leading into it, I know I I spoke about it ad nauseum over on the Ball and Buds podcast, where we do the Champ Ross's Boxing Fantasy Prediction League on Facebook. I spoke about it over there. I basically said that I couldn't believe that we actually had to make picks on this fight because it just seems like, it just doesn't seem real. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't seem real. And I said initially, if Anthony Joshua doesn't send Paul to the same place that he sent Ngannou to, which was the afterlife momentarily, you know what I mean? Yeah, off the first punch, the first real punch, then, the fight was rigged and everybody needs to sue Vegas and sue everybody just needs to be sued. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said initially. I also said that, if it went past the first round, that, I don't know, bro. Like, boxing is dead. It's dead, bro. Y'all let the wrong one in. Y'all let the vampires in, and they came in and just sucked all the juice out the sport. That's how I felt. That's how I felt about it. I don't like what Jake Paul's doing in the sport, as far as him moonlighting in it. And I really want to say something. You know what? I'm going to say something positive about him, right?
Yeah.
So you got to give credit to any human that's willing to lace them up and step inside of the ring, right?
No doubt.
You give credit there, right? But if there's a script, that credit goes away, fam. Period. Like, if it's exhibition talk, let it be exhibition talk. But we are here talking about this fight when what we really should be talking about, like I said pre-fight, was that we're going to end up talking more about what happened to Jake Paul than the amazing, excellent women's fights that we got.
Yeah.
Right? So, we'll dive into those talking points later. But initially, I said that if Jake Paul doesn't get slept by the first right hand that Anthony Joshua has, then it's a setup, it's rigged. That's what I said initially.
That's what's up right there. I need to go back and watch that. And I wasn't able to attend, of course, so I didn't get to share my opinion. But my thoughts were, if I would have shared them there, that 1 to 2 rounds, Jake Paul should be iced. I figured the first round had the potential of being something that was sort of filler or whatnot. And then from there, Joshua just stepped in with that ruthless aggression or whatever that we've seen him have at times against legitimate heavyweights that are, of course, bigger, stronger than Jake Paul. So I had an expectation that if the fight was a legitimate one, then that would be the case. And for those, of course, that don't know, I believe it ended up being a stoppage in the 6 rounds. So this was not one of those where he went in early and got the job done. But that being said, the way it ended, there was some legitimacy to the punch that landed there at the end. But that being said, I guess we can kind of just dive into it from there. And what you noted there, Ernest, and we can't see you on the screen right there. You're laying back.
Yeah, I'm leaning back for a purpose.
Check out that picture, folks. Check out that.
Y'all see what it is.
That's the story of the fight in some sense, right there. Especially through those.
He's trying to.
That's the story of the fight, especially through some of those middle and later rounds, I guess, if we call it that, because the beginning of the fight was a lot of running and, of course, holding and all of that stuff. But while we're here, we might, since we brought it up, let's go ahead and dive into it there. We got some good comments shown out there. Appreciate you there. Joshua says, no need to KO Jake in round 1. Impressive. And he did that. Got you there, Joshua, all of that stuff. So let's talk about it there. So the big question is going to be kind of what this does for the sport, because you can look at it under multiple vantage points. And one of them being, of course, we had this big fight with a lot of attention spilling over into mainstream media. Now, I'd imagine a mix of that is, of course, Jake Paul and the opponent, of course, this being Anthony Joshua, and the view and real threat of Jake Paul taking on his first legitimate and real opponent. So that's one thing at hand that we have in play here, Ernest. So I wanted to kind of take a look at that. Then also the other side of it in terms of, we have, of course, a guy who started boxing in 2020. YouTube fame is what kind of got people to notice him or whatnot. And here within this short period, he's able to step in there with the former world heavyweight champion. And Joshua mentioned that he wasn't unified, so thank you there for Joshua. But that being said, that the parallels between, say, Jake Paul and a boxer who was going through that grind, as an athlete, maybe came out to amateurs, going through that grind and all of that stuff. They don't get a shot at Anthony Joshua, most certainly, within how many ever fights it is that Jake Paul has, which I don't recall off top. But that being said, I had taken down a note there here, Ernest, and I want to get your opinion on it. Is any attention good, or is too much attention for the wrong things a bad thing? I want to get your thoughts there, because we have
all money ain't. Oh man, what happened?
You good?
All money ain't good money. That's my answer to that. All money ain't good money. If you sell your soul for the bread, You know what I'm saying? You got a price to pay at the end of it. All attention is not good attention. And I don't know a lot of people want to talk about it that way, but the sport of boxing, in my opinion, is a sport that saved many countless numbers of lives. People have also lost their life in the sport, but you don't play boxing, obviously. You know what I'm saying? You could die in the ring from a single punch. So, and you don't play it. And what we have is, we got a guy he's playing with boxing. He's playing with boxing. He's playing with his life. And, ultimately, I just think, I can't believe that, here it is. Let's say it this way. This is how I said it before. I said, the reason that he's allowed to do this is because when you got a lot of money, you get an opportunity to cut the line. You get what I'm saying? When you got money, more doors open up for you. So this dude has, he's earned his money the legit way. You can't knock how he earned it. He definitely earned it. He got his money, and he's, he came out with Tekashi 6ix9ine. That's another dude. He trolled rap, bro. So we got two sucker ass motherfuckers who been trolling some real shit, and they don't belong there. Period. They don't belong there. They should not have ever been accepted. They shouldn't be welcomed in it. You know what I'm saying? Unless they doing it for real, they shouldn't be welcomed in it. Just too many people have died in this sport for some suckers to come in there and play with the sport like that. You know what I mean? And then he brought his fans with him, right? So some uninformed, ill-informed, dudes that come out here talking all type of, oh, he gonna do this and do that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he's doing this for the women. No, he's not doing this for the women. This is some narcissistic ass shit, bro. That's exactly what it is. If you was doing it for the women, then you would be the intro to the card. You and the MMA guys would have been on the undercard, and the real fights that we saw would have been on the main card, right? So you're not doing this for them. You really ain't doing this for them because you got 120 million. Joshua got 60 million. Did any one of those women make a single $1 million? If you add them all up together, did their payouts equal $1 million? I don't know what the payouts was, but I highly doubt it. So you tell them you got $180 million and you can't spare $1 million for the women? And you supposed to be promoting and helping the women? If they got more money, they can put more promotions and stuff behind themselves, right? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I'm finna dive off into this dude, man. You know what I'm saying? This head doctor. I remember your name. He used to call you Joe Billa. Remember that? ooh, I remember you now. Used to call you Joe Billa.
Oh, I got you there. I got you. Hey, once again, here we're talking heavy debate here. 86 Boxing, Poppy Chew. Yeah, yo, appreciate everyone in the mix here. Shout out to my man Boz in the mix here. Boz, boxing chick. We got to get that back jumping off there, Boz. Appreciate you. People go check him out for sure. Shout out to my cuz there, Moss, holding it down, 1937. Let's get it there, Moss, doing the thing. Hey, you made some great points there, Ernest. I can't deny it. I cannot deny it. But hey, Greek says boxing always had sideshows. Jake Paul was not the first. No doubt about it. If you look at the history of the sport, you have certainly had novelty fights, things of that nature, where there would be traveling shows where you could have the heavyweight champion at the time, John L. Sullivan, going around challenging any person to a 4-rounder in a theater or whatever it may be. So certainly the novelty aspect of it, that is something that has kind of been there and lasted the test of time. We had Muhammad Ali taking on Antonio Inoki, who was a wrestler in some kind of hybrid style boxing matchup. I don't recall what the undercard may have looked like or whom else was tied to it, but that I think was orchestrated as an event or exhibition, whatever it may be. And I do hear your point there, Ernest, in terms of, so this, while we view it sort of in an exhibition-like fashion, it actually goes on the record because the commissions are approving it and allowing it to be a legitimate contest. And I always think back to here more in recent times when Jaime Munguia, when he was a younger fighter there at 160 on the come up, he wanted to face Triple G, I think it was going to be on short notice. But that being said, he wanted to step in there and face Triple G, and the Nevada Athletic Commission denied him that opportunity. They didn't feel that he was ready or mature enough in the sport to be able to take on the world middleweight champion there at that particular time. By that same token, or if you look at it in contrast, of course, Jake Paul is not an elite level world heavyweight championship boxer, but he was approved to take this fight on, and I know there was a lot of money involved, things of that nature, and maybe ultimately that's what played in the fold right there, just the amount of money involved. But if you look at it from a legitimate standpoint, there are commissions that you would think wouldn't approve this. Now, this is Florida where it went down, Miami exactly, and they let a lot of things fly in Florida, but it was treated as a legitimate fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm telling you, bro. Mike Tyson, now Anthony Joshua. So like, it's just those are those names. When people look back on history and they see those two names pop up, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this guy really did it, bro." And what he really did was troll. He trolled the sport, and he got an opportunity. He got opportunities that people literally died to try to get, bro. And dude, listen, man. So let's talk about the ring size, right? So the largest ring that professional fighters fight in is a 24 by 24. The sizes are 16 feet squared up to 24 by 24, but you very rarely see a size 24 by 24 foot ring. That's for like, huge exhibitions in large places, So you got Anthony Joshua, who's 6'5", 240 plus, and he looked like he was 5'7" in there. And then the rest of the fights that we saw the night, everybody was like 5'5", like their head barely came to the top of the ropes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so could you imagine Tank Davis being in there with him? Could you imagine that? Tank having to chase this dude all the way around the ring and stuff like that. Yeah. Tank definitely could have cut the ring. Tank would have cut the ring off a bit better, but that's a lot of work you got to do to go and run and cut the ring off. And Jake Paul gave Anthony Joshua a disadvantage. He made a heavyweight cut weight, bro.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, A-Side can do some funny business like that.
No bigger than
a heavyweight. Made a heavyweight cut weight. Heavyweights don't typically have to cut weight like that.
Right.
Depending on who they training with. They don't do stuff like that. You know what I mean? And this dude, it's like, he's creating disadvantages for people, and he's getting real credit for not doing real work. Like, that's not $180 million type fight. No matter how you slice it. You got to do. Yeah. I saw him backstage. I was like, oh, he practicing his roller skating techniques. He over here trying to do the Hollywood Shuffle. He getting ready to. He got his track spikes on. He don't got boxing shoes on. This dude getting ready to run. Another thing I said is that, okay, you know what? Jake Paul won. He made it to the 6th round with a former 2-time world heavyweight champion. The 6th round he made it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Anthony Joshua. It doesn't matter if he looks bad. He's cashing $60 million. Jake Paul, doesn't matter if he's clowning the sport. He's laughing all the way to the bank. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he got because his jaws broke up, but he got paid, bro. And that's the other thing. So if he's supposed to be helping the sport and helping what's happening here in the States, because boxing is being pirated right now. Some pirates snatched the ship and they escorting it back to Europe and the Middle East. That's where it's been escorted to. And he just assisted him and allowed for the Kinahan cartel, right? So he gave $60 million to Anthony Joshua, who then gets to promote a fight with Tyson Fury, who hasn't been able to step foot on American soil because he's wanted by the FBI. That's right? Yeah, let me say that, because so what are we doing with the money? WBC, they filed too, right? We can get to Alicia Baumgarten and stuff, but they was missing from the event because they tried to, they always trying to debo somebody and change the rules to make stuff fit for other people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not fair, bro. The shit is rigged up, and it needs to end needs to be put to it. The same way money made their way in politics, they're in the politics of boxing, and it needs to get out of there.
Certainly, yeah, that money plays a major role there. Again, we're here We're here, folks, talking heavy debate, 86 boxing, Poppy Chun Yayo. We're talking about Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, that entire card with, I guess, Netflix fronting a portion of the bill there. And hey, I imagine when the numbers come back, it's going to be pretty high by comparison as far as live broadcasts for boxing, though with certain context, of course, because this required a Netflix subscription, which I think you can get for $7.99 versus sort of the pay-per-view model. And we know at times that can be up to $100, things of that nature. So there are some differences in that regard. But I think, hey, you made some good points. And, we've had sort of our back and forth in that regard as it relates to Jake Paul and what he's doing for the boxing. I've noted before that he signed a lot of the women who are top class in the sport, and they are going to him. So I'd imagine, I guess they're getting some bigger paydays than what may have previously been the case. But one of the points that you did make that I agree with, and I think it's pretty telling. I definitely had to look back and kind of just sit on it. But the fact that, as you noted, say Joshua makes 60 million, 120 million there for Jake Paul. I mean, that is a major amount right there just for two individuals when you look at the totality of the card. And one does have to wonder, how that wealth could have been spread a bit more. And as noted, I don't know what the numbers are as far as what the women on the contest made, but we know it wasn't anywhere near that, of course. And I don't know that there has been a woman in boxing that made, for instance, let's say 8 digits in salary, you know what I'm saying? So that would be a first, but you would think that could be a possibility, but the amount of money just being generated, if we look at the two names there at the top, but I don't know that has been the case, because it was reported that when Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fought, I believe it may have been the first fight or whatever, the first one on Netflix at least, that they got somewhere in the tune of 7.7 million for Katie Taylor, and then somewhere around there for Amanda Serrano. So I can only imagine, just thinking about what the potential salary could be. And that is a point that definitely stuck with me there as far as just the amount the men are making in comparison.
See, Clarissa I believe she just got like an $8 million deal.
Yeah, $8 million contract.
Right? It's like, come on, bro. Like, there's over 8 billion people on the planet, 8 billion people, and she is the number one athlete in her sport in the entire world, and has her resume might not say what it says, but as far as the competition level, but as far as the accolades that she's achieved, she's supposed to be in line for money like that. If the standard of money is you being the best of the best at what you do, you're supposed to be maxing the pay scale out. And it doesn't seem like it's that way. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I don't know, bro. You gotta start asking a lot of questions. There were a ton of sponsors. I saw KFC in there. I saw the Intuit tax people. You know what I'm saying? So I see some Celsius. I know he rocks with them. Yeah. There were a number of other sponsors that I saw on there. But I mean, really? Like, I know for a fact that when people start saying some funny style stuff out there in the streets, that if people start saying, y'all going to sponsor them? You know what? We got a boycott coming. How about nobody go eat KFC for the next year until they figure out who they're going to start putting money behind? Like, you're going to put money behind somebody out here who's out here saying, he's saying some really divisive stuff. If we want to be all the way 100, he's saying some really divisive stuff, and ain't nobody got at him yet. For real. You got a lot of money, but you could be got at. 6ix9ine, same way, man. Those dudes, some trolls, bro.
So in that regard, you brought up a good point, and I had it here in my notes, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because it is. I think it's kind of controversial in terms of maybe the sort of meaning behind it, but basically you mentioned the 6ix9ine piece who walked out with him and was rapping or whatever, and we know as far as the hip hop culture, all that stuff, what he is, and he really hasn't been on the scene in a minute until
because he on probation.
Yeah,
that's
right.
what I'm like. How is he even there? Ain't he supposed to be on probation?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, good point. They seem to let certain things slide, but also he walked out in the Hulkamania fit, paying tribute to Hulk Hogan. Now, of course, I know a number of us were wrestling fans. Some may still be. You know, I used to watch it when I was younger. Now I know about some things that go on, but I don't watch it or whatnot. But Hulk Hogan essentially is one of the faces of wrestling, you know, when you look at it from a historical standpoint, even to now, you know, and what was the connotation and meaning? Was that a means for him to sort of trigger certain people, maybe trigger black people and get that rising and rowdy stuff up? Because Hulk Hogan wasn't in good standing for some of the racist things that he said and all of that stuff prior to his death. That I think that there's likely an underlying meaning to choosing to go that route, coupled with bringing Tekashi 6ix9ine out there with you. I can't deny it. You know,
100%, bro. I mean, hey, listen, I'm gonna say it. You know what I mean? Because I don't care. I want my digital record to reflect what I said and how I'm standing on business. You know, when he came out with the Tank thing, the first thing he said was, you know, talking about his support for Charlie Kirk, right? That's what he does, bro. Yeah, that's the very first thing he said in the Tank press conference was talking about his support for Charlie Kirk. Bro, that's why I was like, yo, we don't need that in this sport, bro. We already got enough funny style racist stuff happening in America. We don't need that here. And that was one of the first things he said. I was like, man, this is crazy, bro. How are these sponsors getting behind a dude that's doing this? Like, this stuff really is going to lead to people getting hurt and hurt bad and hurt for real. And you out here playing with it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, of course he did. Hulk Hogan was a straight sucker, bro. If we keep it real, you know, his character was a sucker. And in real life, he was a sucker. He had issues with his daughter talking to black dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, she want that BBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, that hot tour. We going Jake Paul is the hot tour dude. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? No, we can't let this dude slide, bro. We got to get him up out of the sport, bro. If he ain't gonna do, I mean, we can't say he ain't doing it for real, but what he did is that wasn't boxing. He went in that thing to run. He went in that thing to survive, and he did. For all we know, that whole tongue sticking out thing was a sign that he used to give Joshua to go ahead and go for the kill shot. For all we know, you know, maybe we'll find out about it one day. You know, what happens in the dark will come to the light. But yeah, man, he 100% is playing the race issue because he was a corny white dude when he started the fucking YouTube shit. You know, all of a sudden he's just like Miley Cyrus and Justin Timberlake. They come over, they get into the culture. People talk about you could come to the barbecue and they get some bread and they cash it out and they dip off. That's what they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can always go back to being the way you were. You know, because you're going to be accepted over there. And then what you line up with them people, let's say we kicked him out of boxing and made sure he could never participate in anything that had to do with boxing. You know what would happen? Some of them folks will raise $100 million on a GoFundMe and shoot it to him. That's the type of fallback people got when you align yourself with that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I think you're making a good point. I think you make a good point in that regard, you know. So again, folks, we're here at Heavy Debate. Check us out. We're out here in the mix there real quick. Want to shout out Champ Ross dropped by. Champ Ross in the building. Be sure to check him out on Facebook for his Fantasy Prediction League. We're in there in the mix making moves right now. So salute there to you, Champ Ross. Feel free to drop your info in there. Shout out to our man Skywalker Boxing in the building there. Skywalker Boxing. Skywalker mentions he never knew all the stuff about Hulk till he passed. Yeah, he's had some crazy things here in the past, and a lot has been revealed. And even his daughter, she couldn't stand him. I had broken off contact and said, "Hey, I don't even want any funding or anything." So that tells you something right there. But yeah, It's one of those things there, Skywalker. But shout out to Skywalker Boxing. Be sure to go follow him, folks. Be sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Shout out to my man Ranger Danger there in the mix. Ranger Danger says that's true. I hate to say it. The real Ranger Danger, folks. Be sure to check him out. You will be entertained at The Real Ranger Danger. Check him out right now. And appreciate everyone else here in the mix. Boz back in here with another one. Still don't see Tim. He's in here. He's in here in the mix. Greek says, so Jake wanted to be knocked out cold. Jake, I think you're taking, Greek, I think you're talking about in relation to, I guess, the fight in itself. So that leads to the bigger question. Was it real? Was it scripted? Of course, the knockout was legit. And we saw that he had a broken jaw. You could see his teeth pushed to the side. But I had this debate. Shout out one buddy Al there. We were talking about it. And I was leaning like, hey, yeah, it seemed to be legit to a certain degree. But I don't know. There was some. But also, you know, he gave me some good pointers as well in relation to how, yeah, just certain things, I guess you could say, did Anthony Joshua go 100% in at him and on Jake Paul at all times? Maybe not. It was a big ring there, as we noted, and those rings are big. And having been in there, like officiating and all that stuff, and been in some big rings, is crazy. It reminded me of the old Madison Square Garden ring that is in the International Boxing Hall of Fame right now. It was a huge one. So for Anthony Joshua, who is a guy who not necessarily known for his footwork or anything, he did have to chase him around, and you could see Jake practically just running there in the early round. So I think there was some legitimacy to Anthony Joshua just trying to catch up with him. Now, the question is, could he have better cut the ring off? Could he have made a more concerted effort? And then at one point, Jake Paul hit Anthony Joshua with his best shot.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua ate it like it was nothing. So that, and I also note there, Ernest, sometimes some of those body shots, he wasn't really, it seemed that he wasn't digging in and going for in a way where he had truly ill intent and bad blood in those punches. And I don't mean bad blood for the standpoint that they have to have an issue or anything of that nature. But if you're aiming for a certain status in the sport in itself, when you go in there, there is just a certain intention you have with some of those punches. And, you know, and just in debate and the discussion with others, you know, that is something I guess you could have a question about, you know?
Yeah, no, he didn't really hit him until he got tired of old boy doing this right here. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because I felt like Jake Paul went in there to listen. He was trying to listen to what Anthony Joshua's midsection was saying. Like, hey, are y'all home? Y'all ready for me to come in or what? Just, you gotta let me know. I mean, I'm gonna come back here in a second and I'm gonna try to listen again. You just let me know. I'm gonna run a little bit. I'm gonna give you some time to think about it. Then I'm gonna go back in with that hot tour. If you ain't ready, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we can try it again. 13 times. 13 times. No points taken. Now, it just couldn't have been serious, bro. Anthony hit him in the clinches. Even when the dude went to clinch, you should have, man, all Anthony had to do was hit him one real good time. Hit him in his stomach. See what happened. Yeah.
I think
folded him up like a lawn chair.
I did note that with I was talking to my partner about it. I did note that in the clinches, Joshua was fairly lenient.
Yep. You should have towed him up on the inside as soon as he got in there. For all that running he had, I'd have made him pay. And then another thing is, what was Joshua backing up for? I mean, okay, let me give him another positive thing, because I'm gonna sprinkle him in. There are some, but I don't really want to give him any credit. But the dude can crack. Clearly, he has a strong punch. His delivery his technique is not that bad for some of the overhands that he did. It did look like he kind of set Joshua up for some of them. You know what I'm saying? So we'll give him some credit for that. And I couldn't imagine if he had hit Tank with that punch that he hit Joshua with.
Oh yeah,
bro, that might have been a problem.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That might have been a problem if he was able to hit Tank with a shot like that. You know, what if Tank says, you know what, let me shell up and see what he got real quick and get hit with that shot? But that was a heavy shot. It really was.
It was.
It was a heavy shot. But Joshua I didn't understand why he was backing up, bro. Like you was a former heavyweight champion. Hold your ground. And as soon as he come in there, drop that brick on him. He could have threw right hooks to where old boy was going to because he was skating. So you knew he getting ready to skate. Just punch where you think he's getting ready to go to. Step over to that spot and throw that punch and let him run into it. And you didn't see any of that. And yeah, I don't know, bro. It's bad, bro. It's bad. Yeah, Joshua was on short notice. Yeah, they dehydrated him, to get him down to weight. But I just, where are they getting all that money from, fam? That's a lot of money. There's been some. I mean, Bud versus Earl didn't. If you put both of their salaries together, they didn't make as much as Anthony Joshua made in this fight,
which is crazy.
Man, that's ridiculous, bro. And that was a real fight.
That speaks to it, and maybe it's a thing where my man Moss noted there earlier. He said, "What did he say? Something about the views paying." He said that ain't the standard. It's 2025. It's all about views. And is that a view thing? Is that a potential? Of course, if you look at it from a monetary standpoint, if you're a brand or whatever it may be, ultimately you just want what's going to bring you the most potential leads or potential customers or whatever it may be. Now, that being said, you make a good point, because I could have sworn, and I was adamant that even with Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, the two best welterweights, both top 5 pound for pound, I was like, this is going to do 1 million views on pay-per-view. And it didn't. It didn't do 1 million views. And that is a good point when you think about the salary aspect of it, and even the structure of boxing, the networks and all of that stuff. So what I will say is that Jake Paul, he ushered in, I guess through him fighting, contests on Netflix, right? So these contests that we're now seeing on Netflix, and I'd imagine that opens up a different source, potentially pot of funding, considering it's subscription based, and they have a large subscription base just in general. If you look at it from even what they're getting off of their base subscription, say that's $7.99 per month from 100+ million subscribers or whatever it may be. You think about that opens up an additional funding source or door or whatever it may be. But also you do wonder in terms of, would Netflix just put their backing into the sport from the standpoint, and we did see it with Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, but how true to the boxing game are they going to be? Is this going to be the next source for boxers to go to?
I'm a push back on that too, bro, because when the PBC had initially done it seemed like they had some sort of deal with Netflix.
Okay,
we didn't see any promotion from Netflix, like the Thursday night football games, right? So they got a whole banner up there when you log into Netflix that talks about the live football coverage, right? Yeah. You didn't see a whole lot of promotion for the PBC fights, but some real questions got to be asked. I can't remember the dude's name, but he went to war with I don't want to say maybe it was Comcast, but he almost went to the Supreme Court to talk about what they were doing. Byron, maybe it was Byron somebody, but they almost went to the Supreme Court to talk about, okay, listen, I own this weather channel. You guys have removed my weather channel from the cable service, and now I'm not getting sponsorship money and all these streaming dollars and all this XYZ because you guys moved it off. And they took the case to the Supreme Court, and they ended up settling out of court because that would have really messed some stuff up in America as far as the business side of the game goes. But what you see is a monopoly created, whereas some people can come in and get all this excess money, and everybody doesn't have an opportunity at the same pot. It's kind of it's redlining in media. Let's just call it what it is. It's redlining in media. That's what it is. So, you know, we gotta stay on top of this because, like I said, some opportunities are drying up and some people are finding ways to take advantage of the market, whereas it's not fair at all. There's no possible way to break into the real money. And it's just, I don't know, man, it's cold, bro. It's a cold game out here, man. And like I said, again, like, so he got all that money. Look, did he, Miami, y'all tap in with us. Did he go out there and hand out Christmas meals and dinners? Did he go to the children's hospitals down there and help out with the cancer and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? What did he do for the people down there? Did he help y'all with some infrastructure or, you know, help some of the children for school? Did he help the homeless shelters? Like, what did he do for y'all, Miami? I know what he did for y'all. He sucked y'all money up. Y'all paid thousands to go watch the fight. And then he just handed that money off to somebody to go take overseas. And then he kept a bunch of it for himself, acted like he was promoting women when he had them on the undercard. You know what I mean? So he's pimping. Like I told my homie Skywalker, I tell anybody that's listening, if you got a daughter that's in boxing right now, are you going to hand them over to that dude to try to get him some money? You better off building your local network and doing it the hard way than going and let somebody pimp your child or pimp your partner or pimp your boxing, because that's what he's doing. He's pimping boxing, making it moonlighting. That's what's happening. You know what I'm saying? But I can't stand for it, bro. I just can't stand for it.
What to the environmental aspect of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he brings this big event to Miami, for instance, you know, and hey, a lot of people there. One of the things I had noticed was it had a good crowd and all of that stuff. And then, of course, an event like that, you know, you have staff and people that are working the event, things of that nature. What to that aspect of it? Like, is that not enough in terms of just bringing a major event with a lot of attention and eyes to that particular facility there in that location?
I guarantee you they was letting people in, bro. That crowd was mostly empty until probably the co-main. It was mostly empty. Me and my wife was definitely paying attention to how empty the place was mostly empty. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, it just started filling up. You know, there was definitely some celebrities there. We peeped that. You know what I'm saying? There was definitely a lot of people, a lot of famous people did show up, you know what I'm saying, for the event. But I promise you, man, I know that was Miami, but it seemed like they just let a bunch of people in, bro, because it was empty. And even when it was in it for the final fight, there was huge sections that was empty of people. Huge sections. You know, I pay attention to everything that's around the event. I'm looking at the people who are ringside. I'm looking at their mannerisms. And when they pan the camera, I'm paying attention to that. I'm listening to what the people are saying in the corner. I pay attention to the whole entire thing.
Yeah, I do think there's an element of just him fighting Jake Paul that is, in general, that is going to attract a fan or group of fans who aren't necessarily followers of boxing per se in the same way that, say, you or I might follow it, or even another less or more casual fan who, say, doesn't watch as much as we watch, but generally just kind of follows the sport. It does bring, I think, a level of a fan below that into the fold there. So that's interesting. I had to look back on that real quick. Shout out to everyone. We're here. Hey, Poppy Chun, yeah, yo, 86 Boxing. We're talking about Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, the event that was. Shout out to Omar holding it down. Says, my brothers Omar holding it down for Ball and Buzz, the Ball and Buzz podcast. Be sure to check it out, folks. Be sure to search that on YouTube at Ball and Buds, and you will see it pop up. Trust me when I tell you, be sure to go over there and like and subscribe right now. Shout out to my man, Random Acoustic Thoughts, a history aficionado. So when it comes to random, you want to talk about that old school stuff, late 1800s, early 1900s, all that in the mix, then hit up Random Acoustic Thoughts. Be sure to go over there, like, subscribe. Random and I, we're going to be doing some other stuff here in the near term there. So salute there to your Random. Appreciate you dropping by. Of course, we love it. And while you're here, folks, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that like button. That seems to be a thing that they like here on YouTube. They like when that happens. Be sure to hype this video up, all of that good stuff. Poppy's got his channel connected as well. So if you're in the mix there, be sure to do the same. Hit that like button. hit subscribe, turn on those notifications. We appreciate y'all. We're talking Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. So some great points made there. Some great points made there. Again, there, Ernest, in terms of just thinking about just the totality of this event and everything. Ultimately, so from a Jake Paul perspective, if he can generate events of this nature, do you think that this is something that the sport can benefit from just as we move forward? Say, even if it isn't just casual, or even if it is just casual fans, and he's able to get a lot of interest and buzz, do you feel like this is something that could be of benefit moving forward? Because, for instance, he accompanied the U.S. Olympic team for this last Olympics, the boxing squad or whatnot, and I suppose that generated a lot of attention. And I don't know if there were sort of KPIs, anything of that nature done to see what it meant overall. But that being said, he did participate in such, but he does generate a lot of interest and buzz right there. So even just from that standpoint alone, even if it means that he is, of course, headlining, but the people on the undercard or whatever, let's say they're making their biggest paydays, despite the fact that, hey, maybe they could be paid more from his salary or whatnot. Do you think that's a good thing? Because there may be a place there for that, because this novelty aspect has been a part of boxing. You know what I'm saying? Is he the real mover?
I'm taking a hard line stance. I didn't F with the C. Kirk person. I didn't F with them. I didn't F with their fan base. I don't F with them people in general, because they don't F with me, and I'm cool with that. I know where you stand. You know where I stand. I'm over here. You over there. Don't cross the line and get your ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying no, bro. I'm saying that this is the equivalent of all money ain't good money. Like I said, the dude is trolling. I wanted to say I wanted Jake Paul make me like you, bro. Make us like you as a total. You're not supposed to get booed when you come out to your event as the main event. Every single main event that he showed up at, he's getting booed because he's playing a villainous role. He's trolling. He's getting paid and laughing all the way to the bank.
I'll push back to that. Mayweather got booed at a lot of events. You know,
yeah, 100% he got booed. But he's fighting. If he was to fight in Atlanta, I guarantee you it wouldn't be enough Mexicans in there to boo him. He fighting out in their territory. He wasn't fighting in a black city. He fought in Vegas every time, right? Yeah. So the crowd was mostly what it mostly was, and that's why Mayweather started wearing Mexican gear. And I actually hate that other boxers are doing what Mayweather did. We are very clever people. Find another way to cook people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is still America. Red, white, and blue. 50 stars on the flag. Period. This is still America. So, when you come to America, you got to respect this motherfucker. Period. You got to respect him. If you disrespect it in any type of way, like how is Tyson Fury able to be over in Vegas and he's getting more cheers than Deontay Wilder, who was American, right? You see what I'm saying? So America has some really funny ways where they decide to, line up with people who ain't even from this country to go against our people. And I've had enough of that, bro, because we whooping ass. We're going to be whooping ass until there's no more opportunity to whoop ass. We're gonna keep whooping ass. So I just get really passionate about that, man. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with it. So listen, like I said, I wanted to like Jake Paul. I wanted to believe that he was truly doing a great thing for women's boxing, but he's pretending like he is and doing another thing. He's lining his pockets while using them as prop. They're prop. They're the pawns on the chessboard. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, with all this hot touring he was doing, he the queen on the chessboard.
I got you there.
He the queen. He the queen. So no, bro. I don't care about them generating. I don't care about what he's generating with them. Like again, those sponsors are rolling the dice by getting behind somebody. Y'all see what happened to Target? You see what's happening? Yeah, you see what's happening to these companies when we decide to boycott them? What happens if we decide to boycott boxing because you got a perpetrator in here, you know what I'm saying, ruining the sport and sending all of our money overseas? What happened to America first?
No. Hey, I think you're making a good point there. I think you're making a good point there for real. I think it's an interesting line, though. You know what I'm saying? As far as it is an interesting line in terms of. So I had taken something down as it relates to say Jake Paul, for what it's worth, at least claims that he wants to win a championship, right? That's something that he throws out there. At least now we know that from a boxing perspective, that he's not one of those championship elite level individuals. But if you're, let's say, Jay Opataya, right? Jay Opataya out of Australia, that New Zealand area, Australia, New Zealand, that area right there. Of course, he's known, dominated. Not as known here in the U.S., though he has fought here in the U.S. And if you're a boxing fan, maybe casual even, you know of him, cruiserweight world champion, and probably the best cruiserweight in the world right now as we speak. If, say, Jake Paul wants to fight him, for instance, and of course, this would fast track him, he would certainly jump the line or whatever. But this may be the biggest payday for Jay Opataya. I mean, can't fault him for taking that. You know what I'm saying? That his biggest payday.
You guys are doing deals with the devil. I gotta say it. I can't say it any more plain than that. You're doing a deal with the devil. You're doing so. When we ask, I love to ask people this question we ask these people on our show all the time. You know, if legacy, belts, and money, you know, rank those in the particular order for yourself as far as your career, and there's really no wrong answer. But if you got a person that says, hey, listen, man, I'm a prize fighter, I'm just here for the bread, right? Now, a person who's a prize fighter and that's only just there for the bread, they might be willing to take a sucker deal to go get some bread, right? They might be willing to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go fight Jake Paul because I'm gonna get the most money I can get. I want everybody to make as the maximum amount of money they can make in a fight.
Yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we want for them. But you're going to do a deal with the devil to go make this money and mess your legacy up. Anthony Joshua legacy is stained. It's done for me, period. I used to like to do what he did with Klitschko, getting up off the canvas to drop the champ and taking the belt. Man, I was cheering for that dude. You feel me?
Yeah.
But to go in there and go six rounds with a YouTube influencer dude, bro, couldn't cut the ring off, bro. You know what I'm saying? And hey, he just cheesing all the way to the bank. Alicia Baumgartner shot her shot. All these, you know what I'm saying? They was shooting their shot. And y'all leave Alicia alone. You know what I'm saying? And leave him alone. If you want to shoot his shot and she want to shoot his shot, let them shoot their shot. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Let them shoot their shots, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all quit hating on them people. Let them people handle their business. You know what I'm saying? They just made a lot of money. But, yeah, but I stand on that, bro. I stand on it. I just don't no, man, I don't want. So I asked one of our homies, I asked them if they would give 50 million. Would you be willing to give 50 million to Jeffrey Epstein? And people kind of thought I went a little too far with that statement. But the truth is, when you give a troller $120 million more, they finna be on super troll status. What could you possibly say to them that's gonna affect them?
So
he's $120 million richer from basically running.
Yeah, no, that is legit right there.
He won.
It wasn't a watchable fight for pretty much the entirety of it, outside of when there were a few exchanges. But at one point, probably about 4 rounds in, and they were under 3 to 4 rounds in, single digits as far as punches landed, you know, and you know, that does bring a bigger question into the fold there. And I'm going to go back to when we were talking about Errol Spitz and Bud Crawford, right? At one point, Bud, he mentioned he got on the phone with Al Heyman, like, hey, I have this outside investor. Who knows who it could have been? He's from Omaha. It may have been Warren Buffett for all we know.
No, he did. Warren Buffett backed him.
Okay. And he's like, I got the money right here. How about we just skip the networks and all of that? And Al Heyman, who was one of the most powerful men in boxing, said it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So that makes me wonder. This is just me wondering in terms of how some of those back channel deals are worked out when you have the situation where like a Jake Paul is getting more than a former world heavyweight champion who, irrespective of their different statuses, has a super large following in the sport of boxing, because Anthony Joshua, when he fights someone at Wembley Stadium, they get 70,000 plus that'll come out there and show up right there. But he's getting less than Jake Paul, who I know has banked a lot on the social media side of things. He may ultimately have more followers there on the social media side, but that does make you wonder on certain things. And I can just speak from the perspective from a local standpoint, being here where I'm at and being in and around the sport of boxing. Some of those same sponsors or whatever, they wouldn't shell that money out for like two legitimate boxers who've been grinding, going at it, trying to do this same thing. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that sort of potential reach, potential gain aspect of it, but I do think there is something there as it relates to how, he's getting such a crazy amount. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he warrants it. But I'd imagine the back end paperwork, those deals and what goes into it, I imagine that's a whole world in its own. You know what I'm saying?
I said, I'm not scared to say it. Those opportunities aren't available for Black folks that way. They just aren't. You know what I'm saying? So if Canelo was getting 100 to 150 million to fight to get a deal with Turkey and to fight Bud, and Bud only gets 50 million, and then Bud beats Canelo and they want a rematch, and Bud asks for 100 million now because now he's the A side and he took the short end of the stick, and they say they can't give it to him. What does that tell you? We've seen this thing play out over and over and over. Look at the Japanese player. That Japanese dude got what he got 300. Oh no. He got he got a
800 million somewhere in there.
Almost $1 billion contract for baseball, bro.
800 million maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah, man, those opportunities are not available for people the way that they're supposed to be available for. If you're, you know what I'm saying? And I just, like I said, man, I'm always call it out because it is what it is. It's unfair. There is a red line drawn in the sand, and unless you sell out or unless you go to the other side and act like you don't like the other side, you can't get to that bread. You can't get to it. You got to pay a price to get to that bread. You got to sell your soul. You got to sell your people out. You got to sell out whatever it is you're standing on. Sometimes you might have to bend over and let a person of the same sex paddle you. That's the nicest way I can say that. You know what I'm saying? Hollywood the same way, man. We've seen incredible stars not get the same opportunities to be able to make that money. What happened to our dude who was in Hustle and Flow? What wasn't he in Iron Man?
Oh yeah,
I don't want to go off on that tangent, but we could talk about that. He said, well, whatever happened to Wesley Snipes? Wesley Snipes single-handedly made Marvel what it is. They was dead until he did Blade. You understand what I'm saying? Why didn't they make another Blade? So, you know, I could bring up a number of things in this country where the opportunities have been cut off at the knees, whereas people can't get over the hump. They always got to be under somebody else's shoe. And it's a tragedy. And as long as I got a platform, as long as I'm able to speak on it, I'm going to speak about it unapologetically.
Hey, no. I think there's something to that for sure. We got to talk about it, all that good stuff again here, folks. We're here. We're talking. We're having a heavy debate here. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua and what went down in that contest. Now, I can tell you from just looking, this was one of those fights, for better or worse. I have some friends who may not follow the sport as closely and all that stuff, who I've talked to, who've reached out things of that nature. And those that I know follow it. And generally, it's funny, you know, the overwhelming consensus, I would say, just from my own perspective, is that there was something up, not in the sense that, hey, this fight was like a fully fixed fighter or anything of that nature, but certainly that something was off. It wasn't like, you know, one of those where they take it serious, you know, as a fight. You know, you have some who do and all of that. So Paulie Malignaggi, he said, oh, he felt that it was real, but Jake was running and all of that stuff. So taking that into account, a lot of attention, whether positive or negative, what do you think it does for the sport moving forward? Because this is the buzz right now, you know.
It's that, and that's what I was saying. I said before the fight that we would be talking about Jake Paul and, you know, how he either got a dent in his head or how he went to the afterlife for momentarily. And we're not talking about the women who actually are competing in the sport. Those women had incredible fights. Alicia Baumgardner went 12 3-minute rounds, you know what I'm saying? And the commentary was awful. The commentary would make a casual fan be like, nah, women should only fight 2-minute rounds. Well, I always challenge people to go back and watch the Turkey Al-Sheikh card that was in New York City. Watch that Canelo Alvarez fight that happened that weekend. Them dudes threw maybe 100 punches in a 12-round fight. And that's ridiculous. And all of them got millions of dollars for it. So we can point out things in the sport that are not wrong, or that are wrong and that are unfair. Personally, I enjoyed the hell out of the fight between I can't think of her name right now, but Alicia Baumgardner, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the fight that they had because I was like, all right, Alicia's taking her time. She's picking the girl apart. She's making it look easy. She doesn't have to just go in there and play Rock'em Sock'em Robot and run out of gas. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was a great fight. But y'all got to give the women time to do the 3-minute round so they can figure out when they actually need to step on the gas. Because when you're in that last minute, you got the first 2 minutes. That last minute, people get tired. Mistakes can happen. You could get caught. You could get cracked just for being, you know, not using the proper techniques. And I think a lot of that was exposed in that fight. It's just that, you know, she just would have needed her trainer, Derek James, to be like, hey, look, if you see her knees buckle like that at this point, you know what I'm saying, go ahead, give it some gas. You know what I'm saying? You know, the next round, maybe you could take off the first minute and just, you know, just move around and just touch and don't put nothing behind it. You know what I'm saying? But see, we don't get an opportunity to see that because they always want to make them, if anything, make the dudes go 2-minute rounds. How about that?
Yeah.
How about we make the dudes go 2-minute rounds and have them go Rock'em Sock'em Robot if that's what y'all really want? How about we get rid of any ring size that's oversized 20 feet, 20 feet and up is gone. It's only 18 by 18 or 16 by 16. How about that? And then 2-minute rounds. Since y'all want to, you know what I'm saying, y'all want to try to make up excuses and start talking about Tom and Jerry. Like, bro, you don't hear that type of talk with any other ethnicity in the sport of boxing. You just don't, they don't talk about other people like that. They say, yeah, okay, there's Mexican style. That's what they say. Those who don't know, Mexican style is basically Rock'em Sock'em Robot. You know, they finna get in there and bang it out. They finna see who the toughest, and they gonna go in a circle and try to kill each other. But again, you can't play boxing, and if you can't be in too many fights like that because your body can't hold up, and it shortens your career, and you end up with problems later.
No, you're true. Hey, I appreciate just a good boxing contest, that skill side, you know, where we're seeing that technical aspect. And yeah, I don't agree. Like there are a number I see that call Shakur Stevenson a runner or whatnot.
Tom and Jerry.
I'm not in agreement. I'm not in agreement there. I think he's one of the best boxers in the world right here at this stage. And you look at his total skill set. I mean, he does it for me. I think he's one of the top guys, generational style, talent-wise, and all this stuff. But hey, that's just me. But some people prefer some of that offensive prowess. And there's something to that in terms of some who go for it more or whatnot, and maybe that generates more buzz and more excitement to a certain degree. But yeah, you want to see it sort of on a level playing field just across the board, I would say. You know, so it's very interesting. It is very interesting when you look at it, and there are certain factions in boxing. Some of it tends to tie back to certain ethnicities and all of that stuff. I think that's generally a way that sports and competition has been kind of reared over the course of history and all of that stuff. So you're going to continue to see that. And which brings me to a good point. Matter of fact, just thinking about it here. So apparently there were some people who had issue with Anthony Joshua having a Nigerian flag in the contest as opposed to a British flag. Of course, paying homage to, I believe, his mom or dad, one of them.
Yeah, he's Nigerian.
Nigerian, right? But there are some people who had issue with it. I know that a British politician came out and said something, and I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? And we look at it like from an American standpoint, we embrace, like you see people with the Puerto Rican flag, Mexican flags who are like Mexican Americans, Puerto Rican Americans, whatever it may be. And I feel like it's embraced. So that is pretty interesting that some would have issue. And someone commented on my one of the videos that I posted, a shorts video today, that Anthony Joshua, he was popular until he became racist or something to that tune. And I'm guessing it's tying back to him embracing his Nigerian heritage.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what do y'all do people forget what Britain, you know, what they actually represented? They was a part of the slave trade as well. So yeah, they're absolutely racist. And they're racist in your face, like a lot of people are in the South of America, in the deep South. You know, they're right in your face with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, so him being, I mean, he's part Nigerian. He can't get rid of that. That's his phenotype. That's what he looks like. They say he's like a black Adonis, right? So, you know, Britain wanted to have a black Adonis. You know, they wanted to have that as something that they could be proud of, but he's not built in London. He was built in Nigeria. So that's where he comes from. That's what he is. If he wants to rep that, he can rep that. That happens in America all the time. Just like Josh said, there's American fighters who are born and raised here, but will come to the ring with a Mexican flag on. There are American fighters who are half black and half Puerto Rican, and they will show up to the ring with a Puerto Rican flag on and not an American flag. You get what I'm saying? So instead of them saying that they're Puerto Rican American or they're Mexican American, they rocking the flag of their people, and all of that stuff goes back to promotion. It goes back to marketing. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear Filipino fighters that are born and raised in America. They rocking with the Filipino flag because they want the Filipino support. You know, so for those people to be as pure ignorance and sorry, you know, it just, you know, y'all ain't produced no Adonis. It's just not. It wasn't in the cards for you. You know, you gotta take that one up with God.
Hey. You trip, man.
Yeah, they ain't in the cards for you. You take that up with God. And Sweet Caroline ain't y'all song neither.
Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, y'all need to find some. Yeah, that ain't y'all song either. That's an American song. So,
yeah, it is. It is.
You know, y'all need to get it. Yeah, and matter of fact, y'all play all of our music at y'all fights. So y'all need to figure out what y'all want to be mad about. You know what I'm saying? Get something of your own. Make your own music. Come up with your own dances. You know what I'm saying? Stop copying our style over here. And you know what I'm saying? Stop being racist. That's all.
I feel you. Hey, let's stop that BS, folks. Again, we're talking heavy debate. We're trying to keep it 100, keep it level here, even playing field for all in the mix there. So we were talking about the others there, Ernest. Now I didn't see the Yoka Vale fight, but we had some good women's fights that were on there. Trinica Johnson, she took on a lady last name Gail, Canadian, but bloody fight, bloody affair.
Great
for sure.
fight.
Bloody affair there, no doubt. I call her Trinica Juggernaut Johnson because it just seems like every fight somebody makes contact with her head or her head makes contact with the other. The Juggernaut, you know what I'm saying? So, but hey, they were going at it though.
Yeah, so I want to say something. Although I am a staunch supporter of women's fighting, I need to say something about something that I think hasn't been talked about and needs to be talked about more. Right.
Mhm.
So when people are putting synthetic hair into their cornrows and they go in for the head, I think they need to do something about that, because
Pretty
if
tight.
you have some hard gel or somewhat in your hair, you could actually probably call somebody to get a cut. If you have synthetic hair that's wire and you go and you know what I'm saying, you rub your head against somebody's eye, you could call somebody to get a cut. So I think they need to tighten up on how they're doing with the actual, like in the UFC, they make them cut their fingernails so they don't
Oh, yeah.
slash somebody up, right?
Yeah,
They gotta do
especially from
something.
white folks.
Yeah, they gotta do something about the hair, man, because I noticed that from a couple of the fights that the women, they had the tight cornrows and stuff like that, but when they go in with their heads, there ends up being nasty gashes and things
Yeah,
of that nature. So
that was
I
the case.
really think that I think something needs to be they need to, that's one thing they need to put on the list to maybe evaluate or do a study on to figure out if this is what's causing all these additional cuts.
No, that is definitely interesting. Well, yeah, we do know how that gel does harden and all of that stuff. So there
Yep.
could be something there, no doubt. And then, of course, with her style, it's just a penchant for and the other lady, Gail or whatever, she had a style too that was kind of pinching on her, kind of coming in. So that just made for two formidable forces going at it. But Trinica Johnson's no stranger to sort of the head clashes just from overall perspective in her contest right there. So that's tough to deal with,
She,
especially when it happens early. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, she's tough, bro.
She
I
is.
mean, she's a bully. She
Yeah.
is definitely a bully. I mean, she had a lot of success when she was on the outside.
Yeah.
And I felt like she could have made it a lot easier fight if she had stayed on the outside, because
Yeah.
Shanika wasn't having it. She was going in. She's like, listen, I'm just about to beat her up.
That's how she did in her last fight with Soretta Metcalf, and I had picked Metcalf coming into that contest because I thought she was going to keep her out there because she's super long. Old Chicken, that's her nickname. And she's super long. Let's throw them jabs out there. But, man, it was legitimate as far as I'm concerned, because Shanika just kept coming in, just closing that distance and getting in on her. So, very interesting there for sure. And also you had Caroline Dubois. I was gonna say the brother's name, but Caroline Dubois. She took on Camilla Pineda, friend of the show. At least she's been on, interviewed her before. Very nice. Yeah. And I know she was fighting out of Mexico, and I believe she's Italian, but I think she was fighting out of Mexico. May still be fighting out of Mexico. But from all indication, I came in the midst of that contest when I first tuned in, so I only saw probably the last 4 rounds. But it seemed to be a dominant victory for Caroline Dubois, who just so happens to be in the same weight class and range there of Alicia Baumgartner. And there's a lot of back between those two. What do you think there?
Man, listen, bro, that I had to make a pick on that fight, and that was a tough one for me because we know Camilla, you know what I'm saying? And what I said on the fight was that, Camilla, yes, she's Italian. Yes, she was based in Miami, really, but she's been training in Mexico. So she's getting some great work down there. And I knew that she wasn't gonna be no pushover, and I also knew that she's not a quitter. You could tell by her fights that she's all heart, and she's not gonna go out like that. I didn't find out until the fight that she actually went up a weight class. So I'm saying this is great for her because she actually went up a weight class and was able to make it to the final bell with Du Bois. Because Du Bois, man, she's a crusher, bro.
She comes with it.
She is a crusher. Her technique, her boxing style. Like I don't want to say she hits hard like a dude, but she hits hard like a hard punching woman. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's enough to get some people up out of her. She did set Camilla down, and Camilla got back up. But what you saw in that fight was that there's levels to boxing. There's levels to people that know how to move their feet, move their head, know how to set jabs up, know how to come in, and and Camilla just didn't have the gear to be, or the extra set of skills to be able to get on the inside and do what she needs to do until Caroline got tired in the end. Then Camilla was able to get in there. Camilla, she's going, y'all want to play Rock'em Sock'em? She game for that. And that's her, it's her thing. And so I think if she was able to get inside and do that with Caroline, she would have had more success and would have won more rounds. But I actually picked Du Bois by split decision in that fight. I figured it would go to distance. I figured it would go to distance. And I was holding my breath the whole time, hoping that she didn't get slept, you know what I mean? Yeah. But shout out to Caroline, man. She's the truth. And they need to be lining the sponsorship opportunities up for her and getting ready to start getting the bag ready for her, because she is that girl, that woman. I'm sorry, she's that woman, and she's gonna be deserving of the bag that she should be getting. So get her the bag. She's ready for it.
I'm with you there. Now with her and Alicia Baumgartner, and I think Alicia, she's not a knockout artist. That's a label that has been associated with her, probably from that Terry Harper win. But she's not a knockout artist. I think these last several fights have shown that. But she does have, I guess, some pop to her, especially landing the right punch. Her and Caroline, that's a intense one right there. Just thinking about the steadfast personality of Alicia, then Caroline, but of course, she's British, so that intensity, that mixture right there is going to be interesting if they're actually matched up and going at it face to face there. But both of them bring something to the table, man, and that's an interesting one. I know this is way too early, but man, if that contest happens, what are your thoughts here?
Bro, what I know is Alicia is not going to have a problem getting on the inside like Camilla did. Alicia, she's super athletic. She has the right trainer. Whatever people say about Derek has had, he has some world champions. He's had some world champion fighters, and I think he was a trainer of the year a couple years ago. So Derek does have some skill, and, if Alicia listens to him, she's going to be all right. And, Derek has a history of beating British fighters. His fighters have been beating British fighters.
Spinks won his first world title against Kell Brook.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So he has a history of beating on those guys. And, in that fight, listen, I think that Alicia, she would be tested, bro. She would 100% be tested. And if she could take Caroline's power, that would make for an interesting fight. That would be a fight. That would be a fight that I would have to do some film study on. I hope they make it, and I would love to interview both women and ask them some questions.
Want to make that happen right there. That would be a good one right there. And I'm with you. Yeah, it's an interesting one right there. Hard certainly to say at this early stage or whatnot, but it would certainly be interesting. But I'm sure we're gonna talk about it, especially if it gets made, which, after this back and forth and kind of little build up there organically, it should be the next one for both of them. They fought on the same card and all that stuff. So that should be next, realistically speaking. So hopefully we get that there. Come on, boxing. You let us down sometimes. Let's make this one happen right there. And I think that's good for the women's side of things, because I think that's a fight you can build behind. They can headline.
Yeah.
And I think people will be tuning in, ready to see what goes down, because it's gonna be a banger, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. And listen, man, what more could we ask for? Like, both women, they get in hella shape, and Alicia finished. She finished show up to the weigh-in with something crazy on. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
She finished show up with something crazy on, and it's an entertaining show. You're gonna get a little bit of trash talk, you know what I'm saying? But you're gonna get a real fight out of it. It ain't gonna be like they're gonna be trash talking just to get in the ring and put their track shoes on. They're gonna get in the ring and try to get each other out of there. So that's what I love about boxing. That part right there, where you got two athletes that are gonna go and train as hard as they possibly can. They're gonna go in the ring and they're gonna find out if the other person can handle what they have, and they're gonna test themselves. And then at the end of the day, they're going to announcements going to be made. They're going to shake hands, hug it out, say something good to each other. And if they think they need to run it back, they're going to run it back. That's what I want to see in boxing. This clown shit that the Jake Paul's doing, this clown shit, man, that shit needs to stop, man. It's just like I said, it's just we got too much to get behind. And I mean, your boy Harvey was on the card, bro.
Oh yeah, I'll mention that with next. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on that? Because of course he's holding down DMV. Shout out Jamal Harvey. Of course, went to the Olympics last year, and one of the bright stars, world champion on the amateur side, Pan Am champion there on the amateur side, and ton of experience. And man, he was looking super sharp, quick, and explosive in that contest right there. I know he didn't get the guy out of there, but this guy was 5-0 coming in, a Colombian fighter. You never know with some of these guys coming from down in South America, whatever it may be. You just never know until they get in there. But dude could take a pretty solid punch because he was getting laced with some things, and he stayed in there, didn't quit.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything being bad about your boy Harvey.
Yeah.
What I would say is that I think he went too deep in his bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he showed a lot of stuff that people ain't gonna want to fight him because of. You know what I mean? I feel like he should have maybe held, used maybe half the bag, and then once you realize that the dude can take what you got, then just make it look easy. Go 12-0, only get hit 5 times, have a better defensive record than Shakur Stevenson. That's a talking point. Do that, and just make sure you get out of there unscathed, uninjured, and get to the next one. Be like, hey, listen, I'm not coming in boxing to be moved slowly. I'm ready. I showed you I was ready. So let's get these opportunities lined up and let's get him in there. But that's the other thing I'm saying, bro. Like, we have some incredible boxers here. In America, on this soil, we have some incredible boxers that
think about the DMV alone.
Yeah, no other people in the world can deal with it. Like that African card that the Zone put on, bro.
Yeah,
man. Listen, man, y'all can take that thing, ball it up, step on it, burn it, throw it away, because them dudes is not ready yet. They're not ready yet, and y'all are trying to give them the limelight, and just so that we don't have it, we're gonna whoop their ass too. You can't. This is about who's the best fighter in the world. It's not about who you can sell wolf tickets to, because that's all they're doing is selling wolf tickets right now. So Harvey's the good. Harvey's the goods, bro.
Yeah,
he's definitely the goods, man.
Yeah, and he was gunning for that knockout. So I see what you're saying there, going into that bag, because I think we're just trying to get that dude out there, and he probably went for it a little too much. You know what I'm saying? And it was forcing it as opposed to letting it come to him in some of those moments. But man, super sharp. And hey, the sky is the limit for him there, because he's competed at the top level on the amateur side. And I don't care what anybody says, when you get that type of experience, that is gonna set you above someone who doesn't have that level of experience in competition at that elite level on the amateur side. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean you can't do your thing regardless of such, because it can happen. You might hit that spark, or some people mature a little bit later and all of that stuff. So we'll see how things continue to transpire for him. But Jamal Harvey, folks, if you don't know him, OHB_Maul, MAHL. And one of the top young prospects coming out of things. He signed with MVP Promotions, and trust me, he is one to watch. Shout out to his trainer there, Daryl Davis. And I can tell you firsthand, they put in work there. Daryl, damn good trainer. I see him all the time at the amateur events and all of that stuff. And, he's someone good. Might have to try and get him on and come chat with him, because he has a lot of top-level amateurs that he's worked with. He's a trainer for Jamal Harvey and all of the stuff. He knows the games, been around the game. He's got kids that are boxing, all of that stuff. So I think he'd be good, someone good to chat with as well. So I'll hit him up, try and get him on here, because like I said, he's top dog as far as the trainers are concerned. Let's see here. And then you had I didn't catch this one, but Griffin, he got a knockout win in the first round, it looks like.
Yeah, man. starched him. Starched him coming in. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing to see, man. It's just when you Bomac trains him. When you have a long, lanky guy when you got a long, lanky guy like that,
yeah.
And if people who understand physics, when you got a person that has a lever that's long like that, and they can actually, they can get you at the end of the punch, catching you while you running in. You're talking about force being doubled. What you saw was my man get a quick concussion, and he realized he couldn't recover from it. So he just stayed on that knee and was like, "Yeah, I'm trying. What just happened? You got caught. You got caught coming in. Yeah, you got caught coming in, man. And I didn't have it ending that early. I think. Let me see.
I picked split decision in favor of Griffin.
Oh yeah, no, I had KO7 for that fight. I figured old boy would have gave him at least some work, but yeah. All the fights that we talked about. I got them all right, by the way. I didn't lose any of them.
Yeah, I had split decision. And then I had Vail via US or UD. I didn't get to see Yokosada Vail. I think she's damn good.
Oh, and, bro, that fight was amazing.
Apparently there was some bad blood, because I saw him chirping after the fight or whatever.
Yeah, that was an amazing fight, bro.
Okay.
That fight was amazing. You might want to watch that one again. But it was I picked split decision for that fight, but it ended up being a majority decision. And I know that I think on the show I actually called it a split decision, but I put majority decision on my picks list.
So you hit it?
So, no, I didn't hit it.
Okay.
I said one thing and had another thing on my paperwork.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
That
happened twice. I'm now tied for first with the majority.
I see that. Man, you better hold your breath, Playboy. You almost got I got caught. You see, I was leading the KO stats for pretty much the whole season until this last week.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It is crazy. Hey, we appreciate you here, folks. Of course, we're in the mix. 86 Boxing, Poppy Chun, heavy debate. We're talking here. Appreciate you. If you're just joining us now, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. We're getting ready to wrap this thing up, but we got to talk about a couple of other things right here. Poppy Chun Yayo. One of them, of course, is Cardenas. Cardenas, he fought on ProBox and had an excellent knockout. Man, one thing I will say about him, we saw him in there with Inoue and put up a hell of a fight where I don't think too many gave him a chance. And this was his first fight since then. Against a tough opponent, but I think the majority were expecting him to win this, and he did it in brilliant fashion. One thing I say about him, when he hits those little quick counters, he has so much snap and speed on him, man. That's something serious right there. That's some of the top level of boxing type stuff he does with that. Man, the way he's able to, and that's the same thing he was catching Inoue with, you know what I'm saying? Those quick little snappy counters right there. That's just something, man, you got to work on that, and he's got it.
Yeah, he's got great technique when he's delivering his hooks and his counter shots, and they're fast. They're fast and they're hard, and you get caught with them, you're going down. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing to watch because it kind of it's like he baits people. Like, he goes high guard. It kind of lets people come in and do their thing, and then he gonna give you one. Don't let the door hit you with a good lower split you. He gonna give you one on the way out the door, baby, for sure. Yeah, right. No. He doesn't let you get off, but he definitely gonna give you a couple on the way out. But yeah, Cardenas is, man. I was begging for that. I picked that fight to go to decision because I was trying to make up some points in the league because it's real tight at the top. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to make up some points, so I had to make a couple of adjustments to the way I would normally pick based off of, this was really the last opportunity for us to make a mark, and then some other people just, So I had to pick funny, and then people was listening to the show to try to, get some of the talking points. Bro, it was a whole lot of people from the league that was tuning in to the Ball and Buds podcast while we was talking about it. And I was just trying to throw them off. I was like, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I might be doing something else different. Don't believe.
Funny. I had TKO 7, TKO 5, so I was a little bit off there, but hey, I got to give it to Cardenas there. He did his thing. Also on that particular card, you had Herbert Conceição, Brazilian fighter. We know there's another Conceição out there, man. Not that Conceição. This is another one coming up, and he won a gold medal in the Olympics. And you can tell he is pretty dang skilled. He is pretty skilled. He couldn't get the finish or whatnot, but I thought he had a pretty solid showing from what I saw. I think I missed the first 3 rounds. I want to say 3 or 4 rounds it might have been. But I like what I saw. Certainly, you can see he still had some of that amateur sort of style in him. But that being said, once he continues to work on things, hey, he could be a major player out there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know how pro box get down. Pro box is all about Latin America, or you know what I'm saying, just Latinos in general. Majority they fight it like Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Cuba, Argentina, Colombia. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of seems like what they go, and even they sprinkle in a couple of ex-world champions in there. I love their fights. If I'm being honest with you, most of them 50-50. Most of them are 50-50, and the only problem they got is the judges. They judges be tripping every time. You know, you never, if it go to distance, you don't never know what's gonna happen. And then we can expect Paulie to give us a couple of zingers in there every time. So I'll be looking forward to it. And we be up in the chat, and somebody said, one of the ring girls got in there. Somebody said, "Man, that thing tangy." Yeah, these people are funny over here talking about the ring girls being tangy. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
robots.
Yeah, they said, "Man, Cinnabon. What is, man? What about all types of cat calling and stuff? Like they be
robots. Y'all need to chill. Hey, that's a trip right there. Shout out to Rock Chalk. Hey, Rock Chalk, Rock Chalk, Jayhawks. Oh, you repping them Jayhawks? Okay, I see you there, Rock Chalk. Appreciate you. Be sure to check her out, folks.
They said pro box like sweet potatoes. Potatoes. Sweet potatoes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, hey, Pro Box, they do the thing right there. Mike Juan Williams, he fought there. He's out of Connecticut. He got a knockout. But yeah, we'll see more with him. He had lost to Antonio Moran, who actually fought not too long ago. Might have been last week. Antonio Moran fought or whatever. But Mike Juan Williams, we'll see how he continues to develop there. Represent, as mentioned, Connecticut. Shout out to people out of Connecticut: Mark Allen Baker, Joe Casano. Connecticut Boxing Hall of Famers out there. Shout out to the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame. So the good stuff there. And man, hey, it was some good stuff there for sure. As far as these just fights from an overall standpoint, I think those were kind of the main ones. You did have also Craig Richards. I haven't seen it, but he got a crazy knockout apparently 12th round against Dan Aziz over there in the UK. And
yeah, man.
You see it?
I watched that card. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. That's how I know that African card was trash, bro.
Listen, right.
Listen, bro. The president showed up in the middle of the fight before that. 2 fights before that, the president of the country showed up.
With the Ghana?
Yeah. He showed up and he stopped. They started playing the music and he stopped and everybody stood up. And I'm like, wait a minute, did the fighters stop fighting because they was in the middle of the fight?
Yeah,
bro, it took them like 30 minutes to get the scorecard up for the Racanel fight. The Filipino dude, I felt like he won that fight. But it was real funny stuff.
I didn't catch the card.
Yeah, and then Richards, man, is very off-putting. You can't really tell that he's doing the type of damage that he's doing. It was just like, yeah, it was a lever thing. It was like he had old boy at the end of his punches, and when he would, if old boy caught him with a hard shot, Richards would immediately come back with like a 3-piece, right? And they would be even. It's like he made sure he got the last word in it. I thought it was going to go the distance, but the feed actually cut off for me around round 10, and I had Richards by decision, and man, I just knew he was going to make it to get that decision, and I come back to find out that he knocked the boy out. I was like, man, golly, bro.
Yeah, I had picked Richard to be a split decision going in because I picked against Richard in his last contest. I forget who was going against him. I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have because he definitely has better. If you look at the competition from who, just like being in with the likes of Bivol and such, he has better competition than a lot of these guys out there. And Dan Aziz, I felt he's solid, and but yeah, just not that world level guy. You know what I'm saying? Solid top level British guy, but not world level. And he looks the part, but yeah, he just didn't have that skill set, I believe. So I picked Richards. I was like, hey, I can't pick against Richards unless he's going legitimately against somebody that I feel like, okay, this person can outbox him there for sure. And so yeah, he ended up getting that stoppage there. So Craig Richards making a name still. So it'll be interesting to see what's next for him there at light heavyweight, which of course we know the two top dogs, of course, are Bivol and Beterbiev. So in all likelihood, he may have to wait it out if they're going to do that third fight or whatnot. But we'll
there's David Benavidez in the way.
Well, he said he's going up to cruiserweight. Remember?
Oh, okay. He ain't going. Shoot.
So I'm assuming that to be the case right there, because he did say that after the fight, it seemed like they were working it on the back end. He's going to cruiserweight against Zerto. That should be a good one for sure. But if not, then hey, maybe that's one right there. If David Benavidez wants to get in there, keep with a busy schedule and all that stuff. But if he fights Zerto, that'll be an interesting one right there for sure. Folks, again, we're here. We're talking boxing. Nonito Donaire, he fought Tsutsumi in a contest on December 17th. I haven't watched that one either. I don't know if you saw it there, Ernest, but
no.
Yeah, but Nonito, he lost a split decision. Now, the funny thing is I did pick split decision for Tsutsumi in this one. Nonito, of course, he's up there in age at this stage, certainly past his prime, and I just felt something about Tsutsumi from seeing him that he has this youthful sort of exuberance about him when he's in there in the ring fighting, right? And I thought that was going to be the thing that carried him, that youth or whatever. But I haven't seen the fight, so I will have to go back and look at it. But Donaire lost a split decision. Whether he hangs it up, I guess we'll find out here at some point. You know what I'm saying?
That's the fight that I said. That's another fight that I said split decision on the show, but put majority decision on the paper.
Okay.
So, man, Josh, I'm telling you, I got three. You got 5. We'd have been tied for sure. If I had on my paper what I said on the show. We would have been tied for sure. Because I'd be right there with it.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt.
Right there with it. Yeah, Rock Chalk. I don't know if you saw the fight, but the Anthony Joshua card, but I mean, as you can tell by the way he's smiling right here, while he's getting service. You know what I mean? There was a lot of that going on, and we're not really for all that in the sport. You know what I mean? You can't do that 13 times, bro. 13.
Oh yeah, it was up and down.
Down.
Rock,
but Joshua's
true crime right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, but you see that the Andrew Tate fight, right? Okay, Rock Chalk. That's glad you brought that up. That whole Andrew Tate thing. That's where Jake Paul needs to be at.
Misfits.
That's his crowd right there. Go on over there, bro. Go. You can still be a great boxing promoter. You just come on, man. We don't want to end the night with some some fuckery like what we saw.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you there for sure. I feel you. So
Josh, I promise you, bro, I'm not gonna stick around in boxing. If that's what boxing has to offer, I'll go cover track and field. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I cover football, baseball, I cover any other sport. But the shit that Jake's doing, man, it's not good for the sport.
Yeah, no, right. No, I feel you there for sure. That was crazy. Not a good look. Omar said 13 times, where's the Poppy Chew and Puffet? That is funny. That is
I ain't had to cook nobody tonight, so we keep them on deck. You know what I mean?
On deck, no doubt about it. But that's what's up there for sure.
Yeah, man. But again, I just to reiterate, man, I want women, people, the commissions need to get a boxing fighters players association, and they need to have conversations with each other. An association needs to be able to ask women, what do they want to do? Do you want to fight 3-minute rounds? If if unanimously they say yeah, then do it. Don't put words in their mouth. Don't speak for them. Like I said, every woman that we've interviewed said they wanted it.
They're down for it.
They were cool with it. They didn't have anything against it. The only person that the people on the show said didn't want it was Katie Taylor, but she gassed out anyway. That's why she be headbutting and grabbing and holding. So we don't expect the juggernaut to want to go 3 minutes because she couldn't make it the amount of distance for the regular fights. So that's 1 out of 10.
Go down. I got you there. For sure. So yeah, and we'll see if she comes around at some point. Good stuff right there. You got the Papi Chun puppet in the mix. That's funny stuff. Real quick there, we got Inoue Picasso coming up this weekend, or maybe during the week or something like that. It's going to be in Japan, so it's going to be very early, so people might be watching it on replay. But Inoue Picasso is coming up there. Want to get your thoughts there, Papi Chun Yayo. But also knowing that apparently it has been agreed upon between Inoue and Juntao Nakatani. I think Nakatani is fighting too. So I guess that'll be after, if both of them win, that'll be the next fight for both of them. I saw Mo Problem post about Nakatani and Inoue being agreed upon. Shout out Mo Boxing, no problem. Jose, all the cats over there.
Yep, salute. Yeah, salute to Skywalker, man. His one of his boy fought this weekend in amateurs. I was able to see some. Yeah, I was able to see some of it on Facebook. Yeah. That's awesome, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see him in there, and we'll do what we can for him, and just keep up the hard work and get it in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And with that, folks, we appreciate it. My man Moss says y'all should cover everything. We're going to have to talk about that Papi Chun. Yeah, you might have to talk about covering everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll can.
Talk offline, see if we can make some stuff happen there. But no, we appreciate it. We appreciate everyone being in the mix and all of that stuff. Shout out to Skywalker Boxing. His son made his debut there on the amateur side doing his thing. He didn't get the victory, but hey, it's just a part of the learning curve right there, and stepping in that ring, that's something in itself right there. So that is not the end. He will bounce back. We're going to talk about it, all that good stuff there, Skywalker. So good things in that regard. And for the rest of you folks, of course, Merry Christmas. We celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah for those that celebrate Hanukkah, all that good stuff. So we want to send regards out to all. Definitely enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We should be back in the mix here pretty much around the same time next Sunday to talk about a few of the things that went down at this particular juncture. And also, I'll just note once again, or maybe I haven't noted it, but January 30th, there's going to be a show here in the DMV at Maryland Live, Pro Box TV. You're going to see some of the top stars out of this DMV area lacing it up there in DC. Shout out to all of the young chaps that will be out there. Trayvon Sniper Marshall. You got David the Body Snatcher Whitmire. You have Frankie the Franchise Scarborough. Jordan the Iceman Roach. Ben Johnson. Be on the lookout for Ben Johnson, folks. You got 10K Trey, a.k.a. Irvin Trey Pound Fuller the third. Friend of the show for sure. So be on the lookout for that, folks. We will be here in the mix. Shout out to Ball and Buzz again. Omar, I guess there's going to be a wrap-up show at some point. So we'll be in the mix. I'll be in the mix. I'll share my thoughts on all this stuff. Salute that to you, Trey Titan. You just missed us there, buddy, but I know you'll be around, so we'll chat it up. So we appreciate all being in the mix here. And, hey, like I said, stay safe, everyone. Enjoy your holidays.